Problems giving up smoking as well. Joining us now is psychologist Dr. Lisa McNally and former smoker Evie Purvis, who's in her 20s. Morning both, thanks very much for joining us. Evie, you are in the middle of trying to give up. How is it going and what are you doing?
Day 37 today. I went completely cold turkey. I didn't have any of the smoking medications or anything. I thought, well, if you're going to give up, you might as well just give up completely. So just chucked them in the bin and didn't have another one. Touch wood. So it's going well, actually. Yeah, really well.
And you've been smoking for five or 6 years. Yeah. So what was the thing that made you want to stop?
I wanted to have some more money, but also I was thinking, you know, the smell. Because we were talking earlier, the smell that it just clings to you. When you've got the cigarette and the fresh smoke, it's bearable. But when you have your cigarette, you put it down, you come inside from, you know, whatever you were doing, you just stink. It's horrible. It's just like a stale smell.
So it's interesting, isn't it? You didn't mention health at all in either of your two reasons there.
Yes.
So you felt you were sort of invulnerable?
Well, obviously, you know, I've got my health as well, but the main reason, if I'm honest with you, wasn't my health. No.
Oh, that's very interesting. Lisa, what do you make of this? Because they've done a very extensive look at 1 million women during this report, and they found basically if you give up in your 30s or 40s, you massively reduce the risk of dying from smoking-related diseases. What do you make, first of all, of those findings?
Yeah, I think there's two real key messages, isn't there, from this study. The first one, as you've said, is it's really worth quitting. You, especially when you're younger, you can avoid the really drastic risk to your health that is experienced later in life. The other message is, of course, about that risk. You know, we had women who were leaving the study as smokers, and they were 3 times more likely to have died in the subsequent 9 years than those who were not smokers. So there's a stark warning there as well.
And it is important to emphasise this report, this study was looking at the risk of a fatal disease.
Yeah.
But if you smoke for any length of time, there is damage to your health.
Absolutely. You know, people live for many years with smoking-related illnesses. Respiratory problems is a good example. It doesn't kill them, certainly not straight away, but it really affects your quality of life. And as Evie said, what we find with especially younger women and men who come to our clinics is it's not always about living to a ripe old age. Their concerns about smoking are more in the here and now. Fitness, the smell, cosmetic effects, facial wrinkles, and of course just fertility is another big issue.
I'm just wondering, Evie, whether, I mean, you've clearly made your decision and, you know, you thought it through. Wonder whether you think some people, men and women of your generation might think, do you know what this report tells me? It tells me I can leave it for a while and stop in, you know, 6 years' time instead of right now, because they tell me that it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, I see where where you're coming from. I do think some people, hopefully not, but I understand that some people may take that approach because it's just saying, you know, well, you've got until this age, so why not?
That's the danger, isn't it, Lisa? If you put sort of literally a limit on it, if you stop at 30, this happens. If you stop at 40, that happens.
Yeah.
That is the danger, that people might think, oh, well, I'll just leave it to then because it's going to be okay.
That's right. They may take it almost as permission to continue smoking. And, you know, quitting is really difficult for many people. And so it's understandable why people grasp for any sort of justification to continue smoking. So it's about how we talk about this research. I think we need to really send the messages out in the right way, which is quitting earlier is good.
And arguably, some people might say that the real message should be, how do you stop people starting in the first place?
Well,
which seems to be the hardest nut to crack.
Absolutely. There's far less research about that. We know a lot about how to help people quit, but how to stop people taking it up in the first place. Most people start way before they're 18, so how do we stop that? We need to know.
You're nodding there, Evie. Do you remember? I mean, do you remember that the moment when you thought, yeah, why not?
I had one of my best friends who I was like, I wanted to be her, so I started smoking because she did, and here I am. Well, giving up now, but yeah.
So you stopped smoking aged?
Just turned 15.
Just turned 15, and quite soon you couldn't stop. Is that what happened?
Yeah. Well, I think also it's to do with sort of how addictive you get to anything, really, because some people can smoke and not get addicted at all. Some people can just have one and they're like, oh my gosh, I need loads, you know. So that's a big factor as well. But I had a couple in the toilets at school, you know, don't tell teachers, and then I was hooked, which is bad. bad thing.
I'm sure that would be a lot of people will understand that entirely. Thank you both very much for your time.
And good luck. 37 days and counting. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, it's just coming up to 8:15 this morning. You're watching Breakfast from BBC News. That is our main story this morning. A new study suggesting that smokers who give up by the age of 30 face almost no extra risk of dying early from their habit than if they'd never smoked.
And the gritters are out as scattered snow showers fall overnight across eastern Britain.
Also coming up in the programme,